Are the LA fires as advertised, or could there be unknown causes contributing to the intensity of the flames? It makes me think of the previous 2018 California wildfires and the more recent Lahaina fires that happened in Maui just a year or two back. Striking pieces of evidence on ground at the scene certainly seem to tell a different story than the one that we were told in the news. The first example that I have here is several trees were seen burning from the inside. I mean, if you take a look here, the core of that tree has been ignited and is burning from the inside. Typically, there's only one thing that is capable of directing that much heat and energy inside of an object while ignoring its outer skin, so to speak. And those are highly concentrated and dense microwaves. An aerial view seems to give us another strange sighting, which are that the structures, you can see houses burning, separated by vast distances, but completely leaving intact and ignoring the surrounding trees and foliage in between them. Perhaps the strongest piece of evidence are these cars that were found with liquid metal or molten metal pools and channels running around them. The melt point of aluminum is 1,220 degrees Fahrenheit. Steel is 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit, and your typical forest fire, which should be consisting mainly of wood, burns from 600 to 1,100. So even at the 1,220 melt point of aluminum, you would have to have a fire. You would have to have what's called a Class D fire, which are exceptionally hot fires where combustible metallic components on the ground or otherwise are fueling the fire in such a way that the intensity, the veracity, and the speed that it spreads are all much, much higher than a traditional fire. Look at that. Look at that. You have a pool of molten metal. The windshields, the glass has completely folded in on itself.
Once peaceful arena into a warfighting domain. They have weaponized space through killer satellites, directed energy weapons, and more in an effort to exploit our systems and chip away at our military advantage.
Pentagon officials' statement about the existence of and the utilization of directed energy weapons definitely is a cause for concern. But I don't think anyone imagined the application to igniting and spreading wildfires for some sort of objective. What's interesting is that in the Maui footage, you find blue umbrellas, blue cars, blue houses, blue roofs that all seem to be unscathed and untouched by these fires that seemed to incinerate and demolish everything around them. From this footage here, you can see that the color blue seems to absorb incoming laser, or they call it maser, it's directed microwave. But watch how the laser skips right over the blue color. Instead of reflecting the incoming laser like the other colors and possibly creating combustion, the blue color, because of its frequency, absorbs that incoming energy instead of igniting. One of the last pieces of physical evidence seems to be this ring, this literal ring of fire that is completely encompassing and surrounding the city of Lahaina, which is either an extraordinary stroke of coincidence or luck, or the planners who decided to carry this out had a very exclusive and select area that they wanted to envelop in the flames. If one anomalous thing happens during the course of those fires, I might be able to look past it. But when you have trees burning from the inside, pools of molten metal, perfect rings of fire, and this mysterious phenomenon where blue objects seem to be left out entirely, it begs the question. It demands an answer. The molten metal alone has got to make you wonder, based on scientific principle, observable, repeatable, demonstrable melting points of those materials compared to that of a normal fire. It demands a broadened explanation outside of, even a kid with a gas can. Fortunately, I do believe we hold one key to try and solving this riddle, and it's a paper that was published in the Journal of Geography, Environment, and Earth Science International. The title is California Wildfires, Role of Undisclosed Atmospheric Manipulation and Geoengineering. It's a picture of what aerial spraying looks like. Just read the conclusion here. The California wildfires, as evidenced from our review, are exacerbated by undisclosed and largely unrecognized large-scale jet spraying of particulate matter in the region where clouds form, which has become a near-daily, near-global activity. The California wildfires are thus a microcosm of similar global catastrophes. The public has been misled by the government and military officials, by the United Nations, and by members of the scientific community who either turn a blind eye to the aerial spraying or falsely claim that the particulate matter jet sprayed into the atmosphere is harmless jet exhaust water ice. Deliberately polluting the atmosphere with particulate matter is not only unconscionable, but disastrous to human health, as air pollution is already the leading environmental cause of disease and death worldwide, and it is increasing at an alarming rate. We review the evidence that atmospheric manipulation utilizing aerosolized coal fly ash, which is aluminum as a primary component, sulfur, lead, cadmium, chromium, nickel, magnesium, arsenic, is an undisclosed and largely unrecognized primary factor in the extent and severity of forest fires in California, Western North America, and elsewhere. Adverse effects of this type of climate manipulation include exacerbation of drought, tree and vegetation die-off, and desecration, and unnaturally heating the atmosphere and surface regions of the earth. Combustibility of trees and vegetation at canopy and ground level is increased by moisture-absorbing aerosolized particles that damage the waxy coatings of leaves and needles, reducing their tolerance to drought. While humans start most wildfires, the aerial atmospheric manipulation using coal fly ash and possibly other substances greatly increases the potential for natural ignition of forest fires by lightning. So there you have it in plain language. Coal fly ash, aluminum, other aerosolized metallic compounds that are combustible and pyrotechnic have been being sprayed in the atmosphere for various purposes, not least of which the most recent solar radiation management program that's been approved by several countries, which once again includes aluminum oxide and other compounds capable of combustion and burning at very high temperatures. I think that the evidence for directed energy weapons is there. I think it's of consideration, but more so what we have direct evidence of are the aluminum-based oxides and other metallic oxides that are being aerosolized and sprayed, and have been being sprayed for at least the past 15 years, if not more. Those elements are contributing to the intensity and to the heat signatures of these fires as evidenced and supported by this published and peer-reviewed paper. If we were to assume, let's say for a second, that this is a microwave laser-style directed energy weapon, it's like, where are they firing it from? And well, we have at least one patent at our disposal here to use. It's titled Weather Management Using Space-Based Power System. It is a standing, free-floating, non-connected, solar power driven station that would be put into orbit, and that by their own admission here, the weather element can be altered by changing a temperature, applying immense heat of a section of a weather element, such as the eye of a hurricane, changing airflows, or changing a path of the weather element. So we have structures in space or in near orbit that are capable of directing energy and changing the airflow or direction or intensity of a hurricane. If we have those capabilities, I don't think it's a far stretch to say that we would have the energy required to direct it at a fine point of pyrotechnic aerosolized metal compounds that have been being sprayed there and accumulated there for a decade and create a spark or an ignition. I actually think that compared to what they have at their disposal, that would be child's play.